Alright, so I do see a lot of people ask this question. Is damage a good potential on your weapon? And honestly, it's not bad. I do have it on my weapon, as you can see here. 13 attack, 10 attack, and then 10 damage. And I also have damage on the B-pot. The reason why this is kind of a misleading stat line is because it kind of inflates your range. It does kind of, I'm not sure what the math is, but basically it doesn't scale as well as attack power or magic attack power because, you know, your weapon has attack power, your staff, if you're a magician or something, a wand, it has magic, you know, it's different than damage. So damage would inflate your range whether you're an attack user or a magic attack user. But basically, damage is not, I would say 10% damage is about equivalent, about like 10% boss damage. So it's not as good as, you know, attack power, because attack power definitely scales more. But yeah, on your weapon, you really just want boss damage and attack. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen like the perfect weapon. For example, this is a claw for Night Lord. So this potential only has boss monster damage, boss damage, and attack power. You don't want damage like my weapon. It's just not as optimal, and you know, it just, trust me, if you're going for like end game and you're getting like a Genesis weapon, the reason why I don't care about this weapon, by the way, is because I'm gonna replace it with like a Genesis dagger, so it doesn't matter what I have on this, and it inflates my range a decent amount. My range is like pretty nutty. Let's see if I can just, yeah, like it's pretty, it's way overrated. It's like just because of the damage. So usually people's like dual blade range is like under 100 mil, but yeah, you get the point. So yeah, damage is not like a real stat, basically. That's all you gotta know. But if you have it, if you have like, you know, double line attack, if you roll potential like mine, then go ahead and keep it. Honestly, it's not terrible. But you could, if you're reboot and you have a lot of like endless cubes, just keep black cubing it, cubing over it, and yeah. And then another thing that I see a lot of people ask is if their gloves are better off with just stat. And the question is pretty much been answered a million times. Like, critical damage is just a invaluable stat. Like, you get a limited amount of this stat. Your stat window will show you, if you open your stat window, it says critical damage. The higher your critical damage, the more damage your critical attacks inflict. So imagine if you have 100% crit rate, right? That is like, you're dealing so much more damage. That's why it's way better than just having stat. If you do have stat of whatever class you are, like say you're a thief, you have luck, that's fine. If you're a mage, you have intelligence, that's fine. But really, you just want at least 1 line of critical damage. It's better than 3 line of, you know, intelligence if you're a mage, for example. So yeah, back to critical damage. This value is added to your base critical damage multiplier of 20 to 50%. This value does not affect normal damage. You can enhance this value with skills or items. And obviously, you can get it from Legion. Critical damage is, you can just fill up that, and then you can make, you know, like a Shade Jet or Hayato, well, Jet, rest in peace Jet. But yeah, critical damage, you always want critical damage. You don't want stat. You never want stat. Well, if you get like 3 line stat, it's about equivalent of like 1 line of critical damage. That's why that just shows how powerful critical damage is. So yeah, as you can see, my gloves are pretty good. 8 critical damage, 8 critical damage, 16 plus 3, that's 19. I can math, wow. But yeah, critical damage is always the most important stat on your gloves. Just remember that to increase your damage. You will notice that it is a much higher, you know, than just, you know, luck or stat, whatever the heck you want. But yeah, just remember, weapon damage is like an okay stat, but it's not optimal. It's not better than magic attack or attack. Just remember that. You only want boss damage. Remember, refer to the claw that I'm put on the screen. It's only boss damage, only attack. And if you're a mage, of course, you want magic attack. Same thing for flames. You want boss damage, you want attack. You can't roll like an attack flame. Well, you can roll like a flat attack flame like this. It says like 170. But yeah, I don't know why I wanted to make this video, but I see a lot of people ask this question: is critical damage better than like 3 line stat? Yes, it is. It is. Like 1 line of critical damage is better than like 3 line of like, you know, strength or something like that if you're a warrior. And then yeah, so you just want, so if my dagger was actually good, it would just have boss damage and attack, just like my friend's claw. This is a really good example. That's why I'm using it for the video. But yeah, that is the end of the video. I hope this was helpful to you. Just remember, critical damage is delicious. Damage itself is a fake stat. It does help, but it's not as good as attack or magic attack. That is the end of the video.